Hey, it's Coach Taylor here from SmarterTeamTraining.com. I got a kind of a unique conversation today, and I get a chance to talk to some really cool people who are throughout the field, from the big dogs up top that are running multiple $1 million type facilities and organizations and product design type scenarios, and then I also get a chance to talk to some people that have the ability to create stuff on the fly, and you can reach out to and customize, and they might even be in your backyard. And I encourage you to look around your community to find out some things or some ways that you can add some unique stuff to your training environment, just to encourage people to have an environment that is just unique and it promotes positivity as well as a desire to achieve more. And I reached out to a guy from Bent Iron Performance, and his name's Alex Williams, and he and I went back and forth a couple times on some different design concepts and bars and sleds and some other things that he has going on, and it's really cool to just see a guy that's very passionate about an aspect of the field that most people don't even reach out or even consider when they're designing stuff or designing their weight room or training programs and that type of thing. So, Alex, man, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know you're in the middle of travels here, and you actually pulled over to the side of the road for all the listeners that are listening, and we're going to do a little bit of a show here. But it's great to have you on the show, man, and I'm looking forward to learning a bunch from you here, big dog.
Thanks a bunch, Rob. Glad to be here.
Alex, to get the show started, man, I'm sure we can look up, your bio and your background and how you got involved in the field and what you are as far as a profession. I want to know a little bit about the passionate guy. I mean, how did you get involved in the field? How did you recognize your passion for this aspect of the field? And kind of tell me a little bit about what you got going on now.
My whole life, I've grown up and through high school and college played sports, and when my body kind of gave up on being able to play sports, I turned into weightlifting and powerlifting. I had done it my whole life, so it was kind of the next step is something I could be competitive with still. And as I got into that, I started realizing that, there's a lot of great products out there, a lot of great equipment, and I thought some of it needed improvement. And I was able to do that with what I went into in school. I went into mechanical engineering, so I had design work behind me, and I also was very lucky that I went to work for my wife's family's company, doing design work, and they worked on turbines and packaging turbines for real big companies. So I had access to tons of great guys who were welders who'd been doing it for years, were machinists, and I was able to pick their brains on all this stuff, and every time learned how to weld from them and was able to get certified in all these different kinds of welding. And so when I would buy a product and not be 100% happy with it, I was able to go to the drawing board and go into work after hours, of course, and build something that I liked. And then the best part about it was that I was able to take it into the field to people I know, to guys that I lifted with, to coaches that I knew in the area, and let them try it out and get their feedback. And it was the most satisfying work I'd ever done. And just this tiny little stuff, going to a local high school and listen to what either a football coach or if they were lucky enough to have a strength coach, the high school strength coach had to say about the equipment, and then be able to bring it back to the shop again and improve it a little more and take it out again. And did that for about a year, and next thing I know, I'm quitting my job and doing it full time, and I've never looked back, and I never will go back. It's been very, very satisfying.
If I had some ideas in my head, whether they were bars or sleds or that type of thing, and I could reach out to you to find out if there's a potential to actually produce them, not only for my facility, but even potentially to add to your own line of equipment. I mean, what things should I know before designing strength equipment, bars, etc.? Are there things that I should need to know about different types of welds or even the craftsmanship? I mean, can you walk me through that process of what I would need to know before I reach out to you when I'm trying to create something unique?
Yes, definitely. The main thing I would recommend is, if you don't have knowledge of welding, even just light manufacturing, light machining, to look into that before you start drawing up designs. I've had a couple coaches come to me with really cool on paper designs that instantly I have to tell them, it's not going to work because of this and because of that. Learning about metals and learning about the machining and fabricating process, I would say is paramount. And you can do that most places, even a place like me, definitely, but the bigger manufacturers of equipment, if you are near one of their manufacturing facilities, they're normally more than happy and love bringing people in and taking them on tours and showing them the whole process of how something is made. I think that's a great thing to do. I've done it at several places. I already know how to build equipment, but you can always learn. And I kind of went into it thinking, if I get a little bit of information, see how they do this. So I was just blown away with all the things that these places do that I don't do, and why they do it, and how much I was able to learn just in a 1 hour walkthrough and talking with the guy who works there. That's the main thing. Also, if you're going to approach somebody with a design, make sure that they're going to be willing to do it. And this is kind of off subject, but if you think you have a really good design of a piece of equipment or it's something new and you just kind of came up with it, no matter how silly you think it is, if you approach somebody with a drawing or with an idea, please, please, please have a non-disclosure or a no-compete, some kind of contract that has to be signed, no matter who the person is. If they're your best friend in the world or your uncle or something like that, please, please, please have that taken care of. If they're truly a good person, they'll have no problem signing it. And just always protect yourself with any ideas you have, because I've run into some situations where I haven't, and it's come back to bite me. So I highly recommend that. Just protect yourself.
I know you have some pretty unique equipment there, and I'm sure either your feedback or potentially customers' feedback, as you've already implied, it really has contributed to those overhaul of the design, I'm sure. I mean, how often does user contributions or even just users or trainees or clients or athletes actually contribute to the redesign or even the evolution of your product?
I would say it's almost constantly. I am in constant contact with coaches that I have either sold equipment to, designed equipment with, or just guys who I really respect their opinions. And when I'm coming out with something new, I want to hear what they think about it. I've been really lucky in that I have met and dealt with a couple of coaches. I'm going to name drop, but Chip Morton with the Bengals and Coach Manny at Michigan State is another great guy. The basketball strength coach at UC, Michael Rayfeld. There are three guys who will always allow people to come in. If they, I can come in there with the goofiest bar in the world that I think's great and be able to show it to Chip or show it to Coach Manny. And what's great about guys like them is if it's great, they'll tell you it's great, which, you always want to hear. But they will also tell you if it's the worst idea in the world, and they have no problem doing it. And that is what you need is, honesty and being able to take it also, to get that constructive criticism and not be offended by it. Not everything's a winner. Not every idea is great. But be able to take that criticism and then listen to what they're saying and then develop a better product. I've only been doing this on my own, I should say, actually producing products that I'm selling for a little over 2 years. The first sled I ever sold, I sold to a high school in Cincinnati, St. Xavier High School, to Carlo Alvarez. He's a great guy, great strength coach. That first sled to the last sled I just I just delivered today at West Virginia looks completely different. And that is not really because I wanted it to. It's because I listened to what coaches said, what trainers said, and have just morphed it into what I think is a very good sled now. I also thought the first sled I built was very good. Now looking back, it was a serviceable sled. But now I have a really good sled, and I'd love to take all the credit for it, but I've had 10, 20, 30 coaches comment on things they would like, and some of them, that would be nice to have on the sled, but it's not really feasible. But then every now and then you get a coach who has a point they want to make on a product, and man, it's gold. And they love telling it to you, and especially when Coach Morton gives me a great idea about doing this to this. Well, the first one I build, I bring it to him, and it's his. Here you go. Try it out for the next year. Let me know if that was a good idea or not. Let me know what you think. And it goes a long way. It goes a long way in the relationship, and shows how much you appreciate them. And it's just priceless feedback that I can drop this off in an NFL football team, at a professional football team. He's going to use it for a year and try it out and tell me and give me all the feedback on it. Where can you get that? That's priceless. But at the same time, I don't just take stuff to, these, coach went to the NFL and to Michigan State. All the high schools, local high schools, I love listening to what they have to say because it's a completely different, the product is getting used completely differently at those two levels. And you can just get a ton of great information. And like I said, I come up with the original idea, and most of the time my ideas are just improving on something that's out there. But that's just me. I'm one person who's lifted and trained a certain way their whole life. I'm trying to produce stuff that everybody will find use in, not just me. And it's hard to do sometimes. You have to have that constant customer feedback. And in this industry, I'm very lucky that almost all the customers are more than willing to give the feedback.
I've had an opportunity to look at the website, and I've had several conversations before the show even. My question to you is, if you're going to start with a facility from a nothing else in there, ground base zero kind of scenario, I mean, do you recommend starting with particular equipment when designing a facility, and even particularly on a budget? I mean, a lot of people are dealing with some differences, money incomes, or being able to raise money to come into a venture that can lead to personal training or sports performance. I mean, are there particular pieces that you would suggest, or you have seen start, with a successful gym, with the way to get started with it?
What I consider the best way to get started doesn't really help me business-wise, but that's, you can never have too many plates, never have too many bumpers, never have too many barbells. And then, you need your good racks, obviously, and benches. But then, I think a lot of people get caught up in spending, tons of money on one piece. I need a blah, blah, blah leg press, and they'll spend $5,000, $4,000 on it, where, when you're just getting started opening a facility like that, if you do your due diligence and go out and look good, be careful, but go out and look on Craigslist, places like that, you'll find high schools that are clearing out, old weights. You'll find, facilities that have closed and be able to pick up 3, 4, 5 pieces for the price you'd pay for one brand new one. And they're fun. And that's, honestly, I have, in doing this, I have built up a pretty good gym in my shop. That's my personal gym. And if I haven't built it, which, I don't build everything, I have not bought a single brand new piece of anything. Everything I have has been acquired secondhand. And that doesn't mean it's junk. Most of it's fine. If someone's selling a jammer because one of the bearings is out on it, it's real easy. And, they have to have a new one. It's real easy to call, Hammer Strength and get a new bearing for $50 sent to you and swap it out, and you have a brand new jammer, basically. You can also, what I've done and what I recommend to people is a lot of places get rid of things just because aesthetically anymore they're scratched, they're being, it's a chip just from normal use. Well, you can also take apart those same machines, take a couple bolts out, and have them blasted and repowder coated, and they look brand new. And then you can also have them painted to match your facility's colors or your program's colors. But yeah, like I said, if I'm starting a strength training facility tomorrow, and I have $10,000 just for equipment to get started, which isn't a ton. We all know this. Everything's expensive. I'm spending at least half of it on bumpers, plates, and bars, and then we're going from there. But again, that doesn't help me a bunch, but that's how I would start.
You brought up the concept of powder coating and spray painting, and I've been in a scenario where you're discussing where you're trying to get rid of some nicks and bumps and different pieces to kind of make ends meet, and that's not only in the private sector but in the college sector as well. I mean, there's a lot of programs that are looking for ways to get around things and being able to reach out to people that can, like you said, either just strip it down and repowder coat it or even splash some paint on it. Sometimes that's their best option. I mean, my question to you is, and I didn't know this, to be very honest, can you define the difference between powder coating and the strengths and weaknesses of that versus spray painting?
Oh yeah, definitely. The downside of powder coating is expense. It's always cheaper to have something painted or to spray paint something yourself. That, to me, is the only downside of it. It is 100 times more durable. It looks better longer. It doesn't fade as much as paint does. And the powder coat process, basically the piece of equipment has to be prepped as if it was being painted, which that's something if some of your listeners are going out looking to have something powder coated, try to make sure you're going to need to find a place that sandblast or does some kind of cleaning process and corrosion removal process before things are powder coated. That way you don't have to do it, because it can be a real pain, especially if you're repowder coating something. It's very hard to take off the old powder coating because it is so durable. That's what's so great about it. But, for just standard wet painting, we've all spray painted something, and honestly, that's, if you're taking something to a professional painting place, they're basically doing a fancier version of spray painting. It's, an air compressor that sprays, you run your air into the paint, and that's how you paint. It's, pretty simple. You can make it look very nice. You can do designs and all that type of stuff, which you can't really do with powder coating. But as far as durability, the powder coating process, you have your stripped down bare steel. It's an actual powder. It's called that for a reason. The paint is in powder form, a dry form, and then the piece of equipment is electrically charged, basically electromagnetically charged, so that when you spray the powder onto it, also done with air, you're just spraying powder onto it, the powder sticks to the piece. Then the piece is taken from there and put directly into an oven, and it's baked on, and it creates an incredibly durable finish, a incredibly smooth finish. If it's done correctly, it can come out looking terrible, which I've seen many times on some of my pieces of equipment that had to get redone, where just a little something humidity-wise, or if the powder's old, it's kind of clumped, it can go on a little weird and come out. It's called it looks like an orange peel almost, the wrinkles in it, in which it has to be redone, obviously. But if you're going to spend money getting something coated and you want it to look good for a long time and last, I 100% recommend having it powder coated.
I like the name Bent Iron Performance, and anytime I get a chance to talk to a business owner, I like to ask questions about branding. I mean, while you were going through the idea of developing your own business here, how did you go about developing your brand recognition? And then also, as far as that goes, how important is collaborating, as you already implied, with some coaches or even other businesses within the field to really help catapult your production and your involvement with the field?
Bent Iron Performance. Yeah, I think it's a great name, too. I love it. When I first started strength training, it was always, you got to have enough weight on the bar to get the bar to bend. If it's not bending, you're pretending, all that stuff. So the whole idea of the bent barbell, that's as old as weightlifting is. But I just, was trying to come up with something that, A, there's no name really like it out there, and B, you can visualize it when you say it, Bent Iron Performance. If you're in the strength training industry, which is who I'm dealing with, when someone says the word Bent Iron Performance, the first thing you think of is a bending barbell. So that's where my logo got started, with the bent barbell, Bent Iron Performance, because it's not just a strength training company, it's a performance company. I build things for professional college, high school programs, training facilities, performance facilities, and it sounded good. I ran it by a couple coaches who loved it, and I got lucky, I guess, because I have had to change it. The collaboration is very important. I have been lucky to be invited and just to pay to go to several strength clinics, and that's the best part. You get to talk to all these coaches and meet guys you never would normally be able to, especially being a small company. It's hard to get into some of the programs just for the handshake. But then to talk to all the other manufacturers and the dealers and the salespeople is priceless, because that's where you can build great relationships with companies. They may be competitors, but it really doesn't matter. If you're building a good product, they respect you, and your name will come up while they're talking. I'm going to be building something that they don't build, and it will come up eventually. And I'm the same way. I don't build racks. Originally, I wanted to, until I started seeing how nice some of the racks are out there, and why would I even try to compete with them? but I get asked all the time, hey man, we're getting ready to redo this room. We need 5 racks. What do you think of the new Riders racks? And I give them my honest opinions. So that is priceless. I've helped out a lot of the bigger guys, get in places to sell the racks because Rogers is making a great rack right now, and I've said that many times. And then at the same time, I've gotten calls from guys saying, hey, I was talking to so-and-so with this company, and they got me in touch with you. So that's very, very important. And it's fun. I like seeing what guys are doing, what other companies are doing. You can learn a lot from them.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the social media impact on your brand or your visibility within the field. I mean, how can social proof impact the business? Somebody else putting something up online or on a Facebook page, really endorsing what you have going on, or even as you implied, coaches giving you feedback that you can share on your website or even through newsletters and that type of thing. I mean, how important is that? Do you ask customers to send you pictures, videos, testimonials of even using your product?
Well, it's incredibly helpful. Again, that's that little golden nugget that I can't get that. I can't market a coach to say good things about my product. They have to do it on their own. I can't, put an ad out that has something in that if it's not true. So, and social media is just this phenomenal outlet, which I'm just now getting involved in. I've missed out for the past couple of years. I didn't realize it, and especially with the younger, the strength coaches, it seems like there's the kind of a younger crowd and then the old timers. And some of the older guys have been around forever, great coaches, but the social media, they're not really. There's some that are involved in it, but especially with younger coaches, younger professionals, younger trainers, it's huge. So it helps a ton because most of the people on Twitter are either strength coaches or trainers or work at facilities or performance centers. And it's just absolutely priceless. And that's, I just, recently started a Twitter account and a Instagram account, and it's amazing how, for a small business like me, getting in contact with coaches is very difficult. They're bombarded daily with emails from every kind of product you can think of. So what can I do that's going to separate me from everyone else? Well, with emailing, you really can't. It's kind of a hit or miss thing. But with Instagram or Twitter, I can put some pictures out there of equipment, and that way the coach, let's say I follow them on Instagram, they can just kind of, oh, that looks kind of nice, and next thing you know, they're following you. And like I said, I think I've been on Instagram for 6 months maybe, and I've made connections and sold products to 3 or 4 NCAA strength coaches just from that, which just blew my mind. Where these are guys, the South Florida, I would never be in contact with them. I'm based outside of Cincinnati. That's just miles away for me to try and sell something to. But through social media, it's worked. And then, like you said, to get these coaches then to mention you or say something nice or get them to wear one of your shirts or anything like that in a picture on social media, man, it's great. It helps so much, and I'm starting to get really lucky and starting to build those relationships, so that's starting to happen.
It's very important to me to help others chase their passion, and finding out about what motivates them is very important to me. I mean, you took a passion for strength conditioning and took it into a manufacturing type avenue, which is again very unique in this field and an avenue that a lot of people don't talk about or discuss. I mean, if someone who was interested in following along in your footsteps type scenario, I mean, how would you motivate them or inspire them with some type of motivational message?
Wow. Honestly, for me, what it all comes down to is if you want to start your own business, if you're that passionate about something that you're willing to say, man, it's worth a try, I got to take the shot. It is. You have to do it because you will regret it the rest of your life. And there's nothing worse than living a life full of regret. I've talked to many older people who come up and pat me on the back when they find out what I'm doing, and they're just, they're so happy for me because they've worked the same place for 40 years and had a great idea and never did anything about it. And that's what I would recommend is just act on it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You can always either go back to what you were doing or figure something else out. You live one time. I give it a shot. Like I said, I've been doing this for a little over 2 years. things are going in the right direction right now. For all I know, in 2 months, it's going to be over. You know, the market will, you know, no one will have any money to spend on anything. I'm done. But it was worth it because I'm doing what I love. I'm doing what I'm passionate about, and it's not work. You're not going to work. I work way longer hours than I ever did before. You know, I work 7 days a week. I work at least 12 hours a day, but it's not even work. I'm doing, you know, I'm having fun. I'm talking with great people. I'm meeting great people. I'm doing what I'm passionate about, and I wouldn't ever change it. And that's, I guess that would be my one piece of advice is if you're passionate about it and you feel like you should do it, do it. It's that simple.
Well, Alex, man, I appreciate you getting on the phone with me, and I've enjoyed our conversations going back and forth, whether it was on email or on the phone, to be honest with you. And for anybody that's listening to the show, every time I've reached out to this gentleman, within the day, he's given me a response back, and I think that speaks very highly of him and his passion for all the things he has going on. I mean, he's actually in there grinding and welding and putting some sweat and tears into his work. So to make time to get back to just a random guy asking questions about what he has got going on, I think speaks very highly of him. So, Alex, man, if there's anything that anybody had a question about that we discussed in the show, they wanted to find out more information about anything that potentially you have as a product, or just want to learn more about, you know, the manufacturing side of this field, I mean, how could they go about reaching out to you?
The best way would be through email. It's alex@bentironperformance.com. That would be the best way to get in touch with me. And then if it gets deep, I can call you. We can go from there. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. If you search Ben Iron Performance, it will come up. I love to hear from people. Love talking shop. Love talking strength training equipment. Love talking welding. Love talking fabricating. So I love to hear from people. BenIronPerformance.com is my website. It is in the process of being rebuilt and will probably be getting taken down tonight or tomorrow night and then open back up over the weekend with a new website. I encourage everybody to check that out in about a week also. But yeah, that's the best way, alex@bentironperformance.com.
Well, again, Alex, man, I appreciate all the things that you're doing for the field. I enjoy your passion. I took a bunch of notes here that I'm probably going to follow up with you as well, even beyond what you and I have discussed already. From a business owner perspective, from a guy that loves to have unique stuff in his room to really draw someone's eye, and just obviously just to meet you as a friend, my man. Again, to the listeners, again, Alex and I have never met. We had just sent an email to a gentleman. I had a couple questions about things that he was doing and stuff that I saw, and some of my other colleagues, some of the names he's already mentioned, they were talking about you. And so I said, man, what the heck, man, I'll reach out to him and have a conversation. And the conversation led to the radio show. And I applaud people that want to become better by reaching out to others in the field. It doesn't have to necessarily always be a strength and conditioning coach. I mean, sports psychologists, nutritionists, even manufacturers. Do your due diligence, learn more about the field and the product that you're putting out there so your athletes or your clients can be the best person possible. And if you're not doing that, I think you're really setting yourself up for a real negative experience, and the clients and athletes that you work with deserve more. So again, Alex, man, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day. I look forward to this being just a launching pad for us to do more things down the road, and I'm definitely going to be checking out that website, man. Hope all's well, Big Bill.
Thanks for the time, Rob.